It's time for succulents and cacti and all the things fun. I told you guys that I wanted to do cacti and succulents because I've been really into them lately, and I have a whole plethora of them right in front of me to show you. So I hope that sounds fun. Before we get into it, my name is Shannon. This is Planet 386, and if it's your first time here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. We talk about plants here. We talk about plants. We talk about home decor. We talk about plant swaps and really anything planty. So if that's your jam, if you're returning, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. The comments that you leave bring me so much joy. Just watching and waiting for the comments. I really love talking to you guys down below. So let me know, are you into cacti and succulents? And if so, what's your favorite one? If you don't know, I do host local plant swaps to me locally. I just kind of said that. And I do run a Facebook group with a couple friends of mine. And stay tuned, because in another video, I'm going to be talking about the plant swap. I'm going to be talking about the little things that I got. And we also made a trip to IKEA over the weekend because we had to go to Orlando, which usually means a trip to IKEA at some point. And I did pick up a Vitsto shelf that I just put together, so I'll be going over that as well at some point. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into cacti and succulents. So the first one I'm going to show you is this guy here. This is a pickle plant. I don't know his technical name. I'm pretty sure he is a succulent, probably a euphorbia. I could be wrong. Someone correct me down below. I did get him on the 21st of March, so I haven't had him for very long. And what I have learned quickly about this plant is he doesn't really like a lot of water like most of these. But this one specifically does not seem to like too much water. I did have one of these little spikes kind of like rot. So I moved his position. I have put him in a really airy mix. So I think we're on the good for now, but I do like the way that he looks just kind of in this pot, and I am curious to see how he goes. This is one that I have had for a while. John and I found him. I wish I had the date, but it was several months ago, probably back in maybe August of last year, and he was super duper small, like super tiny. I think we paid $8 for him. This is Sirius Pervianus, the apple cactus. And so when I mean he was so small, I literally thought there was no way this thing was going to live. So to kind of see him taking off here, I did recently just repot him into a much larger pot, so he should be good for a little while. And it just seems like every time I water him, he grows even more. He grew over the winter. He loves the west facing window that I have him in, and honestly, this is one that I find likes to be watered just like the rest of my houseplants, so that's what we do with him. Next is sort of a trailing one. This is Red Ripsalis. That's what I have it tagged as. This one is very thirsty right now. He is also, a lot of these here are from that same west facing window, so they do get a ton of light right now. And I find that he's one I could literally water probably twice a week. I think I actually just repotted him into this terracotta pot, and I'm thinking it's probably, I think he's staying too dry, and I could probably pot him into a larger pot. But for now, this is where we are. I do love that the sun stresses this beautiful red, hence the name. And it does have these cute little fuzzy hairs all over it, which I find to be super cute. I have him kind of just like sitting on top of a candle pedestal. I use those a lot for plants, and yeah, I think he just looks really lovely in the window. This one is one that John picked up. John is really into cacti, so it's kind of something that we do together. And I've seen this named a couple different things. I've seen it listed as a coral cactus, and I've seen it listed as a mermaid tail cactus. I don't have a tag in her, so I'm gonna, the ones that are not tagged, I will be tagging today, as well as potting them up. A few of them need to be potted up, like this one. So anyway, this is one that's been fairly easy. I do think he gets little leaves all the way on his edges if he has enough water supply. Again, another one that I think probably takes more water than I have probably given it in order for it to flourish. So I think I'm going to start with giving him a larger pot, burying him a little, his stem a little further down, and we'll just kind of go from there. This is one that I've had literally since the beginning. Like this was, I've probably had this guy for going on a couple years now. This is just a little Haworthia. He is slightly sun stressed, which when they sun stress, they are absolutely stunning. And I just love him in this little pot. I love like his little pops of white. I think he is so cute. If you see dirt on my nails, sorry. I've been potting up plants all day. And so yeah, he's just really fun, really slow to grow. And I've just been enjoying it. He's one that you can kind of set it and forget it, and it just looks so charming wherever you put it. Next is another one that John picked up. This one is, it's called either a donut cactus or a unicorn cactus. I'm sorry I don't have like the technical names for all of these on, maybe I'll put them on the screen, we'll see. But I mean, I know you can Google it and find it as a unicorn cactus because that's how I found it, or he found it. And yeah, you know, this is one that I have recently potted it up into a larger pot. It does seem to not like to be watered often. It's interesting with cacti, something that I've learned. Some really appreciate the water, some do not. So we've kind of backed off watering here, and I think we're on the mend. I'm just kind of curious to watch this guy grow. He's done nothing for us since we got him. So anyway, I just kind of have him in this pot. I'm not crazy about the way that it looks in this pot. It's kind of silly. But for now, it is what it is until I can figure out what's next. I think I'd prefer him in terracotta. I just don't have the right size pot. So anyway, for now, this is what he looks like. Next this is one I had been wanting for a long time. This is kind of a controversial plant. So this is Mother of Thousands, or no, Mother of Millions. I also have Mother of Thousands. But I was able to get a cutting of this. Super, super grateful. I do have some of the little babies, kind of, I don't know if you can see them in there, but I'm trying to root those ones that have just fallen off. So basically what makes this plant controversial is it produces these little leaves on the side. Can you see those little teeny tiny, they just look like, yeah, little leaves. Anyways, when those fall off, it reproduces. And so this plant can be considered invasive. They say it's best to kind of just make sure you are growing it in a contained area. So that's what we're doing here. It does need a larger pot, but this was a pretty fresh cutting. Roots are looking really good in there. And so I think we are at a place where I could put this into a wider pot. That way, as these little leaves fall off, they have plenty of space to reproduce, and then I can get multiple shoots of it. That is the goal anyway. Got that from my neighbor, who got it from another neighbor. This is a succulent that I got. I showed this recently in a haul video. I'm not exactly sure what she is. I got her at the plant swap, and What I do know is she's so easy to grow, and she gets the cutest little yellow flowers. I just noticed that she was blooming one day and I was like, oh my God. I am also noticing that she does have these little roots. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but she does seem to have tiny little roots. So it looks like I could probably just cut her and stick her back in the dirt and just grow it like that. I'm kind of hoping though I can get this plant to trail. For some reason I just like envision this trailing over this pretty patinaed pot. So yeah, I don't have the name for this plant. I'm unsure. I think it's one that I picked up at maybe Lowe's. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching this grow though. It is putting out these like little shoots. Can you see like these tall, the ones that are kind of just like sticking up randomly that are not taking like this strange shape. So yeah, I'm just curious to see where this goes. It's a very interesting one. I do need to figure out the name again. If you know, let me know. I think I've seen it perhaps as like a brain succulent. Up next is another hanging cacti or ripsalis. This is a mistletoe cactus, or other known as. And I just love the way this drapes over the pot. I think it is so elegant. I think it is such an easy plant to grow. I've literally had zero issues with this plant since getting it. And it's actually two little teeny tiny plants that I purchased at separate different times that I ended up potting together. And they've just been growing together for quite some time now. There's new growth everywhere. The new growth comes in like this really pretty bright green. And I will show you where I have all of these. One thing I have learned with cacti and succulents is once you find a spot that they like, it's recommended that you just leave it there until the end of time, because I find that when I move my cacti and succulents around too often, that's when I start to see issues when it comes to watering and how frequently I need to water it and just how much sun it's getting or how much sun it's not getting anymore. So yeah, I'll show you kind of how I have them, where they're displayed. If you see missing spots, it's because some of them are going to get repotted after this video, but it'll kind of give you a better idea. It is, for reference, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, and this window will get full sun from probably 4 till sunset. So it does get several hours of direct sunlight. So in this big window is where I keep all of those friends. Just leave them lined up on the sill. See, there's a spot missing. That red ripsalis lives up there, kind of in the corner. And yeah, that's their little home. You can tell in the morning or up until I would say 3-4 o'clock, there's really very little light that comes in through this window. But in the afternoon, it is super bright in here. Okay, so these next few I have are living in a window that gets it gets filtered light all day, but I would say it's in the afternoon again that we are seeing some direct sunlight. And I will show you guys again where they live after I show them to you. So the first one is just this little tiny string of pearls. He's super duper small. I've had him for probably 3 months now, maybe 4. I did get him at one of our plant swaps here locally, and I got him as a teeny tiny little cutting. So basically I just keep winding. I do not have good luck with string of pearls. I would love to have a beautiful trailing, you know, massive string of pearls. Unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like it's in the cards for me. But we are starting out again with this really small one, and I've just been wrapping it back and forth in the pot, and I'm not sure at this point if I should pot it into a larger pot. Just kind of scared, you know what I mean? What would you guys do? Next is another one that I got from the plant swap. I actually got this one at the April plant swap. Was it April? No, the May plant swap. And it had these little pups. So all these little pups, I have since just kind of placed them into the soil. I'm hoping that they'll go ahead and root. There are a couple petals up here on this one that don't look so great, but overall, I would say this guy has been doing really well. It did live in my cabinet for a little bit, and I just recently moved it into this window, so I am going to keep an eye on it. If it doesn't seem to like it there, if it's too intense for it, then I will move it back into the cabinet. But I was kind of hoping that I could free up some cabinet space. But yeah, that's that guy. Again, they told me it was a Chinese dunce cap succulent. I'm not 100% sure on that. A lot of these, another thing with cacti succulents, I do find them, I find it hard to remember their names. These are just some cuttings or propagations, just some little snaps off of my Ripsalis paradoxa from my mother plant. I have a massive Ripsalis paradoxa. I will show that to you. I will probably have to show it to you on the shelf because it is so big, and at this point I would have to move a lot of stuff to kind of get it out. But anyways, this is one of my favorite Ripsalis of all time. I love the way that it hangs in the pot. It is absolutely stunning. If it's one that you don't have, or perhaps you've never seen before, I would highly recommend this one. It's super easy to take care of. In terms of watering, I would say this is one that definitely lets you know when it's thirsty. She'll kind of shrivel in the same way that they say, like a string of pearls shrivels. It's funny because I can never tell when those are ready, but I definitely know like when this plant needs a drink. For example, you can see perhaps on this one that it does look a little bit like a raisin compared to, say, like some of these that look nice and juicy and plump. So this cutting, it's giving me resistance, so it's definitely rooted, but it's probably just thirsty. Sorry about that last clip, guys. My camera died, but this is where they live. So this is that Chinese dunce cap, the little paradoxa. The string of pearls is over here. And then right here is an Easter cactus, and she is doing fantastic in this spot. She absolutely loves it. So that's where those guys are hanging out. And then while I'm here, I'll kind of show you down here, because there is more cacti and succulents in this window. So I will pull these out individually, but I just kind of wanted to show you where they hang. Okay, so next up is my very sad variegated string of pearls. I got this on 321 as a pretty nice size pot. It wasn't trailing, but the pot was definitely full. And sadly, this is where we are. I kept it out in the pergola outside. It just didn't seem to like it. I had it in a spot where it was getting like sunlight in the morning and not in the afternoon. And just little by little, this is where we are. So what I am doing now is I've potted it into this larger terracotta, and because my other string of pearls is doing so good in that window, I decided I would go ahead and try to place it there and just see if I can get some growth. So that's kind of where we are on that. I am desperate to have a beautiful string of pearls. So I'm really, really crossing my fingers on that. I've never been able to keep one alive. Next is this little crassula. So this is Crassula ovata gallum, also known as Shrek's ears. So I just find this plant to be super interesting to look at. I think it's one that you could literally set anywhere in your house to add a little pop of interest, and it would do just that. It's very low vibe, low maintenance. There's really not like a lot to it, but it's just so interesting. It almost looks fake, you know? And yeah, I water him pretty much with the rest of my plants, you know, roughly once a week, and he seems to be doing all right. Next is just a little, oh gosh, you guys, this is such a cute little cactus. He's bloomed twice for me now. This is the original pot I think that he came in. I unfortunately don't know what he is. I think his bloom is yellow, if I remember right. And when he blooms, I'll try to take a photo and put it on my community tab, just to show you guys. But so cute. And actually, I repotted the Haworthia, and while my camera was overheated, and I went ahead and used this pot for this guy. Next is a lifesaver cactus. I got this at one of the plant swaps. Actually, I think it was like the second plant swap. Very slow to grow for me, but I do see growth. So there's like some new growth there. This is freshly green, so all the little tips are freshly green. So I know he's growing. I think he was a recent propagation when I got him, so I don't think he was really rooted. And so yeah, it's just exciting to kind of start to see him take off. The flowers on this are super cool. So yeah, I would love to see him kind of transform and take over this pot in whatever way he wants to. And yeah, I love terracotta and cacti also. Next is a devil's backbone. That's what I purchased it as. I want to say this is a euphorbia of some kind. Beautiful plant. When I bought this, you guys, this was actually one that John fell in love with, and I almost killed. I was able to somehow bring it back to life. What I realized is this plant wanted a lot more water than I was giving it. And that's kind of when I learned that cacti and succulents, some of them really do prefer to be watered more frequently. So anyways, I made a very scary choice. So I just potted him up today into a larger pot. This is rooted. Well, this does have roots. This is kind of an offshoot off the main stem. And then I had like all this empty stem and then this beautiful flush top piece. So I basically chopped it, I let it callus, and I've now stuck it in the soil, and I'm hoping that this takes root. And I'm hoping to get like a nice, you know, flush pot of this, because how interesting, right? Isn't this such a cool plant? Mine is unfortunately not the best looking specimen, but like I said, when I bought this, it was absolutely beautiful, like a show-stopping piece. And I don't really hear anyone talk about it, so I bought mine off Blue Moon Tropicals. I'm not sure if she still has them, but I've had it about a year now. It was one of my first plant babies. Next are the boobies. So these are our booby cacti, and my have these grown. So when we got them, they were maybe about this tall, both of them. So basically, like where you see it go from like chunky to skinny is how much it's grown. We've probably had these, I would say 7 months or so, but these are so beautiful, you guys. This is such a cool cacti. She's so cool. She's so cool. The silvery color, I just can't even explain how the coloring, I know, is probably not even going to come up on camera in the way that I'm seeing it right now, but totally worth the splurge. Easy to grow. Kind of funky and fun, right? Who doesn't like a good set of boobies? Next is this guy. I, again, don't know the name. I want to say this is another form of Haworthia. I could be wrong, but I just love how this plant, I mean, just check him out. Like, how cool is he, you guys? Again, the lighting it's not even doing it justice, but The very tips of this plant, it almost looks like translucent. It's like you could almost look down inside the leaf and see what's like going on in there. It is so interesting. It definitely needs to be dusted. But I love how he looks in this sort of peachy pot here. And I've had him for a while. I've only potted him one time into this pot. He's, you know, he's rooted. He's not root bound. We're going to keep him in there for a while. But yeah, easy peasy. Once a week. Lives in that window. And then the last one I'm going to show you in this batch is our Euphorbia Ghost. Another really fun, really easy, super cool plant. Fun fact, when we got Sam, our little boxer puppy, he actually snapped off this piece here. Can you guys see it? Or is a tag in the way? There it is. And I was like, oh man, because that was like the very first bit of growth that I was getting after acquiring this. And so it was still tender and fragile, similarly to like how this appears now. This is very fresh. I had no idea if it would take or not. I just kind of stuck it in the soil, and it has definitely rooted because there's definitely resistance. And I just, how interesting, right? I mean, this guy is so cool. I actually wish that I had a better spot for him where he could be more of a focal point. Unfortunately, he just loves the spot that he's in so much. I really just don't want to risk it. So he's not seen often. He's not shown often, but he is secretly one of my favorites. I just think, again, this is one that you could put like literally anywhere in your home as like a statement, and it would draw your eye. It would create conversation. And I just love the way that it looks in this pot with this little mushroom. Okay guys, we still have a ton more to cover. I'm trying to move through these quickly, and I'm sorry if this video is like taking forever, but I love them. What can I say? This next one I just showed recently on, I think it was my last video or the one prior. This is a Ripsalis string of stars. So this is, oddly enough, a form of Ripsalis. Super interesting. It does get little tiny pink flowers. I can't even get the whole thing in the frame. It's massive. But my vision for this was exactly as it is. So I wanted it to be just like a really beautiful full trailing plant to kind of like hang in the pergola or hang in the front window of my house. And that's pretty much what we've been doing. I did just pot her up into this pot today. It's all I had on hand, and I think it'll be okay. The only thing is it's a little bit big now, so it'll probably have to go out in the pergola. Unfortunately, I was enjoying it in the front window, but I knew that that was short-lived. Next is this little weirdo. Literally have had this guy forever, you guys, forever. I couldn't even tell you when I got it or where I got it. But I did just pot it up into this cute little planter. So it kind of looks like, I don't know, she's got maybe like a sprig of hair just sort of flowing in the air. I did have it in a different situation, but it was getting a little bit too much water. So I think this is going to be better for it. And plus, I had nothing for this planter. So got this at the, not the last plant swap, but the one prior to that. And I love that so much about the swaps. Just like getting these amazing like little planters and just sharing with the community. It's just, I live for it. Next is another Ripsalis. You're gonna see a trend here. I absolutely love Ripsalis. This, I somehow have misplaced her tag from the nursery, unfortunately. So I don't know exactly what the species is. I just know that it is flat. Like, it almost looks like little hands. Unlike Paradoxa, where it is like, you know, multi-dimensional, this is just kind of flat. But I do think it is absolutely beautiful. I love Ripsalis. I love how they drape just ever so elegantly in a pot. Doesn't matter what pot you put them in. It doesn't matter where you put them. They're going to spice up the area. There are a couple sprigs in here that I can see have sort of detached, that have just kind of like dried up. So I have some nice aerial roots. I have no idea if you guys can see this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to detach these little places where the plant is sort of detaching itself, and I'm just going to re-stick it back into the soil, and that should do it. But these live in the dining room area. I will show you where they hang when this clip is over, and they seem to like it. This one is a Cissus quadrangularis. She is very, very, very thirsty, so I am definitely going to give her a drink. But this is another weirdo, another very interesting plant. It's definitely going to add interest no matter where you put it. She's doing all right. She's definitely given me some growth, but I can definitely tell where, you know, she's missed a watering here or there, or she maybe got overwatered here and there. You know, there is some browning on some of these, but again, super duper cool. She also puts out these like grapevine-like leaves, and I have featured her before in a video. I think she was in one of my favorites not too long ago, but I just have her in this cute little hanger that I got from Five Below. And again, she's just kind of hanging in that window over there. And then the last one I have for this little clip is this fairy tale cactus. These are so precious. Gosh, I've had her for a while. She sits on top of the piano. I've never moved her. I hardly ever water her. She's one that I literally just forget about. Like, I water her when I think of it, which honestly, you guys, is maybe... It's probably once a month if I'm being realistic, but super slow to grow. It has definitely taken her some time to like lift herself up out of the pot. As you can see, she's kind of doing that. When I first potted it into this pot, it was flush. So she's definitely growing. It's just at a very slow pace, and I just love the structure, again, of this cactus. I just think it's really beautiful. I can see why they call it a fairy tale cactus. And yeah, she's just simple, you know, very simple plant. Another one you could add if you're, you know, someone who just can't handle like a lot of watering. That's just not in your day-to-day, then cacti, they're great. They're great for that. Okay, so the next couple, I'm not gonna move them just because they're so big, guys, but this is my Paradoxa. She goes literally all the way down, 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 down. She goes to the very bottom shelf here. And you can see just how interesting these are. I really am not sure that I love it in this spot. I literally have just moved her here because I know she needs more light than where I had her. But I really did prefer her on the very top of the cabinet. I just feel like she's definitely going to get more light with this window. Let me kind of pull it around. Ooh, careful. So you can kind of see, like, we were just over there on this side of her. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing is you're not seeing like the drapage. Maybe if I like pull some of these to the front. I just styled this today. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe we need like to move this a little bit or something. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I just kind of feel like I miss her stems, you know, like I miss the draping. Anyway, so that's her. And then over here, I have my Euphorbia trigona. And I just repotted her today. She is so big now. I can't even believe it, how fast this grows. Super easy. The lighting is not even doing this justice, but what a beautiful plant. She gets the little leaves. But this stem down here was like super skinny. I don't know if you can tell like the difference in thickness, and it was just kind of like wobbling over. It was in my window. So fortunately I did have that for support, but it was just like not enough. So we've kind of added. I will show you guys a little bit outside of our very front window. I'm not really comfortable filming the front of the house, but we also have a ton of cacti out in the front. We have a huge, beautiful bromeliad that greets you when you come in the door. And just in front of that is a giant dragon fruit. And then we have a crown of thorns over there. We actually have 2 crown of thorns. And then, yeah, these are all just cacti that love this very corner. And then up here is my, what is this? Is this fernleaf euphorbia? Oops, I just broke it. Or ripsalis. Oh no, I forget the name. Anyways, one of you guys will have to help me out. Again, she's old. I've had her for a while. She is very slow to grow. I'm certain it's probably this spot, but I do love the way that she drapes over this hutch. As these things always go, I'm sure I missed one here or there, to which I will have to maybe put a photo up in the community tab if I find one. I did in the philodendron video, I did miss my philodendron glorious, and I missed my philodendron Florida ghost. So I do have those as well, but I'm sure there's gonna be something that I find along the way. Anyways, thank you so much if you've stuck around till now. Man, you guys are the bomb. I owe you like a coffee or something. Send me a beer, like the mug emoji, if you made it all the way to the end. I appreciate you guys. These are just some little baby ripsalis that I'm going to put into a little pot. Probably bring them to maybe the next plant swap, or I don't know, maybe I just like it a lot. Maybe I'll just add them throughout the house. What else? That's it, you guys. I appreciate you so much for being here. I'm thinking my next video is going to be on my favorite pots in my collection, because I do collect like vintage pottery and just pots in general. So yeah, anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, and bye.